So the Fife Property market update, and this is for the week commencing the 7th until the 17th. So this gives you a great insight into what actually was happening in the Fife market last week. Then we'll do a run through of what we in particular as an agency were doing with our sales activity. And then we'll do a roundup of the shows that have taken place just so you can see what you want to go back and re-watch. So, as always with this show, if you are new, then this gives you a great insight into what is really, really happening. And please feel free, whether you're watching the live or even the rerun later on, put any comments, any questions, and we will come back to you. Likewise, you can click the link and read through the blog as well. But we're going to start with last week's statistics. So this is where we look at every agency that uses Rightmove, new properties instructed versus properties that are now shown as sold subject to concluded missives. So this is purely just the resale homes only. This doesn't take into account any of the new builds, but this gives you an insight into what was happening for last week. So straight away you can see 146 properties were newly instructed to the market last week versus 131 properties sold. Now, something we always say, and if you are a regular, then I apologize because you know what I'm going to say, but we do always emphasize the fact that 1 week does not make a trend. However, with that said, to give you a kind of a better insight, if you actually go back and watch last week's show, I gave you an insight into August. So I did an August roundup. So that's where you could see actually off the top of my head, there was like 538 properties that were newly instructed within Fife in August versus 572 properties that sold and are under offer. So that just gives you an idea in terms of how the market is performing, because people are now getting into the mindset, and Perry and I are probably having the same kind of conversations when we're going out to appointments, and people are now saying, oh, am I better to just wait till next year now? Do I need to wait until spring, summer? Absolutely not. Just think to yourself, these next couple of months, everybody's going to be in that mindset. So people are naturally now going to wait until next year. However, you as a seller, that puts you in a brilliant position because it means there's going to be less competition for you out there, but there is still buyers. If you think in August, 538 versus 572, there was a lot more buyers than there was instructed, especially in some of the micro regions. They really are sellers markets. So do, if you want, go back and watch last week's show to give you that monthly insight. But that's why these shows are brilliant as well, because it gives you real life facts and it helps you make those informed decisions. So you can see there, as I say, you had 146 versus 131. So in Cooper, then you had 14 versus 13, marginal between it, nothing at all. East Nuke, 6 versus 3. 6 is slightly higher than what we see. Normally it's 4 or 5. Likewise, 3 is a little lower than what we have been seeing. But again, it's nothing to be cautious of or aware of. It's just that 1 week perhaps, and we'll obviously see how that tails out through the rest of September. This is happening quite a lot actually, but St Andrews 8 versus 8. Not very often do you get the same amount instructed versus sold, but I am seeing it a wee bit more frequent as I go on with these shows. But something I just want to point out, this doesn't necessarily mean that the 8 properties instructed are the same 8 properties that sold. That is not how this works. With any of those sold properties, it could be previous weeks, months stock. It doesn't mean to say that is the stock that it hit the market and sold in the same week. That's not the case. Leavenmouth, 14 properties instructed. So there was a lot of activity in the Leavenmouth area last week versus 8 properties sold. Again, yes, this is 1 week where there's not as many buyers in the Leavenmouth area, but actually if you were to go back and look at last month's statistics for Leavenmouth, you'd be surprised because there was a lot more buyers than actually properties that came to the market. So obviously, as I was just mentioning, some of the older stock obviously sold in Leavenmouth last month, but there was more buyers than what came to market. Dunfermline, 71, which is a lot higher than what we normally see. Now, Dunfermline naturally always is higher numbers due to its proximity to the bigger cities, the fact that you can get a lot more property for a lot less money, be this side of the bridge, get a different kind of lifestyle and still commute if you wish. But normally they float around like mid 50s, sometimes 60s, but 71 is a lot higher. 59 properties showing as sold. Glenrothes to only have 4 instructed last week, that is very, very low. Minimum they are is double figures. So very, very low last week in terms of stock coming to market in Glenrothes, but still 17 buyers. So obviously, again, we're just clearing through any stock that's in the Glenrothes area. But as I say, nothing to be alarmed about. And then Kirkcaldy, 29 versus 23. Kind of the numbers that they just float around in that area. And obviously 23 sales still went through. And like I always say, Glenrothes and Kirkcaldy are areas that people also gravitate towards purely because of commuting links, the leisure facilities. You've obviously got the beach, you've got the lifestyle, you've got everything on your doorstep, you've got schooling, and you can still obviously use those commuting links to get to the bigger cities. As well, there is a lot of affordable areas within both of those locations. And it is in areas that does appeal to families, first-time buyers, investors, landlords. Like, it really does tick all the boxes. So that is last week's statistics. Obviously, if you are sitting and you are thinking of selling, you are considering buying, or both, and you are curious in terms of what your particular area postcode is performing like, reach out to us. That is what we're here for. We're here to guide you, give you all the information so that you can make those informed decisions, because that really is the key, is making informed decisions and not doing anything hasty, and making sure you make the right choice for you. And obviously we can guide you with that and work through that. So if you do want to comment, message privately if you'd prefer, or even just pick up the phone and speak to a member of the team, we're more than happy to have a wee chat with you. So that is the figures for last week. But as I say, if you really are interested, go back and watch last week's show, because we do have the monthly roundup. Next, we'll discuss what we were doing in particular as an agency last week. So this is where we take a look at what we have accepted offers on, what we have coming soon, of course, and obviously people are always keen to see what stock we have got coming to the market. So this means you can get ready for those pre-portals, and then also what's completed, so you can then understand what offers are being accepted, and then obviously the different styles of properties that are also selling within the area. So we're going to start with our solds for last week. So the first one being, this was High Street, Strathmiglo, and straight away you can see at the top, sold in 1 week, which is incredible. Now, this one was a popular one. We were actually contacted at pre-portal with this one by a client who did offer, and then again that kind of trickled through and we had more people interested. We did a good couple of viewings, and there was a couple of offers on the property, and now an offer has been accepted, which is a brilliant result. So sold in 1 week, which is incredible. The sellers are delighted. Obviously, they're allowed to move on with their journey now. We secured them a buyer within 1 week. Likewise, that buyer is over the moon because they are actually getting out of rented and moving their young family into that village lifestyle. And this is a beautiful home. If you perhaps did see the pre-portal that I did, you will see that it was beautifully presented. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-reception terrace property, but it actually had a converted attic, so you can see the Velux window just up here. It gave you incredible views over the Lomond Hills. And then something that you won't be expecting is, obviously you can see you get plenty of parking right at your front door, but actually it had a stunning, really spacious garden to the rear. So it really was a fantastic property and not a thing needed done to it. And this was on the market for offers over 185,000. And as I say, we got a buyer within a week, which is an incredible result. So it just shows you, when you price accordingly, you have an attractive, really aggressive marketing strategy with a proactive agent, that is the results that you can get. So if you do have something similar to this, whether it be in Strathmiglo or surrounding villages, because we do have clients that are looking for that village lifestyle and somewhere that they can move to. So if you are watching this and you think you have something similar to this particular property, please do reach out, because we had people that have missed out on this property. The next one that we sold was again in the KY1415 postcode, and this was actually Jura. So this was a really charming 3-bedroom, 2-reception end terrace cottage. As you can just see from the photo here, you have this driveway and the garage like spans way off the screen, like you can't even see it. It's got a sunroom here, it had a garage, beautiful garden, and the property is the full length that you see here. So this whole length is your property, so it's really spacious. 3-bedroom, 2-reception, really substantial plot. And it's a beautiful lifestyle. Obviously it's tucked away, it's nice and quiet, but you're still close to everything, whether it be St Andrews, Dundee, Cooper, you can get to everything. This one was on the market for offers over 260,000. The seller's delighted that we were able to obviously secure them a buyer that then again helps them move on with their journey. As well, the buyer is delighted because they're looking forward to kind of moving and slowing down life a wee bit and getting more of a semi-rural lifestyle. So actually both parties are over the moon, and that is what we sold last week. So that is our solds. Now we will disclose what we have got coming soon. So this is where myself and Perry have been out to properties. We valued them and they're coming to market with us. So this is me giving you a really, really, really fresh heads up before we even hit pre-portal stage. So what I will do is do a run through, and then I'll actually tell you all about what a pre-portal is and how you can qualify. Now there is a couple. If you want to get any more information on these, then message us privately or pick up the phone, because that way we can also get you qualified and registered on the system. But the first property we have coming is a 3-bedroom, 2-reception, 2-bathroom, semi-detached cottage in Colessi. We actually sold this property a good few years ago, and it's coming back with us, which is incredible. So we've got great history on the property. And it's nice that we're able to continue on that journey. Obviously, we helped the buyer get into there, and it's now going to be the seller, and we can help them move on with their journey. But it is stunning. It's a beautiful cottage. And this one actually has a balcony as well, which I am so excited to show you. I'm actually going to be there tomorrow afternoon, fingers crossed for the weather. I'm going to be there tomorrow afternoon doing the pre-portal. So keep a look out on the Cooper page tomorrow afternoon if you are looking for that village setting, village lifestyle, semi-rural, and it's a stunning cottage. Not a thing that you would need to do to it. It's got so many beautiful features. It's got a log burner. It's got an exposed staircase. It's so bright and spacious as well. It's got a balcony. The gardens are beautifully landscaped. Next one is Sockhope Links Holiday Park. So this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom lodge. I am there on Thursday. This particular one is in Crail, and it's in, as I say, Sockhope. We have sold quite a few lodges in this area, in this particular site. It's desirable. It's Crail. You have got everything you could need, whether it be the beach, the Fife Coaster Path, the golf courses. You've got Room Bay. You can take a short drive to St Andrews. You can go all along the coast and do all the little fishing villages. It's a fantastic site. It's got facilities, and the views are incredible. This one, as I say, is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom lodge. Nothing that you need to do to it. It's got a balcony. It's got that driveway, and it's ready for you to just start enjoying and take in, obviously, your family there. So keep a lookout on the East Nuke page on Thursday. Again, fingers crossed for the weather. Next one is Ceres Road in Pitscotty. So this one is a 3-bedroom terrace cottage. So we've got some gorgeous cottages coming to you very soon. So as I say, this one's a 3-bedroom terrace cottage. Not a thing that you need to do to it. It has been recently renovated, so you can do nothing. You just move in and start enjoying it. It's really spacious as well. I was so surprised at the bedroom sizes. Lovely kitchen, and then you've got a little private, almost like courtyard area at the rear. It's Pitscotty, so you can take a short drive to Cooper, short drive to Dundee, short drive to St Andrews. You could also head down to the coast as well. So it's a brilliant location, and it's a little charming tucked away cottage. Next one is St Mary's Place in Kirkcaldy. This is a 1-bedroom ground floor flat, so we know it's going to be popular. It's a flat. It appeals to investors, landlords, first-time buyers, and the fact that it's ground floor as well, potentially it could be that one-level living. So look out for Perry doing the pre-portal on our Kirkcaldy page. Next one is Kenmount Place in Kennoway. We know that it's a popular area. The properties do tend to get snapped up there. And this one is a 3-bedroom semi-detached property. So it's going to be an ideal family home. And obviously it's a location that does get snapped up. So keep a lookout on the leaving page for Perry doing that one. And then finally, Jury Bank in Windygates. So this is a 3-bedroom, 2-reception, 2-bathroom detached bungalow. So again, we know it's going to be popular. Bungalows are like hen's teeth. It's a brilliant footprint as well, so it's going to be really spacious. So again, keep a lookout for Perry doing that one, because I know that that one's going to be a popular one. I've not even seen it, and I know it's going to be popular. So that is our coming soons that are going to be at pre-portal. So what do I mean by pre-portal? This is your prime opportunity to get in there before anybody else. So you need to be following the relevant Facebook pages. So we have a Facebook page for each micro region that we cover. So make sure you're following the one where you're looking to purchase a property. You're then looking to see the agent's face and the words pre-portal. That then is your full video walkthrough, and it's a preview of the property before it goes on your Rightmove, your Zoopla, and your S1 Homes. So if you are following these pages, it's actually putting you ahead of everybody else that is waiting for it to hit Rightmove and Zoopla. This is you getting your foot in the door, and letting you see it, because the video is almost like a virtual viewing. So you're seeing all the details. We tell you the location, and then at the end, we tell you the predicted price point. Now, to get in at pre-portal stage, and when I say get in, I mean when you get a viewing and you can get through the door, you need to have you need to match two criteria. First one being you're a cash buyer ready to go. So whether that be that you just have that cash in the bank, or perhaps you've already sold and you are waiting to find a home just like one of these. So first point of call is you need to be a cash buyer. Secondly, you need to make our seller an offer that they just cannot refuse. So this is your no regrets offer. You put in your best foot forward, and it's an offer that that seller almost bites your hand off for, to stop it going to the Rightmove, the Zoopla, and the S1 Homes, our websites, etc. So it really is your prime opportunity. So if you watch that full video walkthrough and it ticks all of your boxes and you match that criteria, pick up the phone. Do not hang about. We have properties that sell at pre-portal and buyers that get through the door at pre-portal, so you do not want to miss out. If you're perhaps watching this and you're thinking, I don't qualify for pre-portal just now, then pick up the phone, speak with us, and we can guide you through the process and get you as ready as possible. And we still can put you on the viewing list. So it doesn't mean to say you're missing out. That's not the case. We can still put you on the viewing list. And if for whatever reason an offer is not accepted at pre-portal, then we'll obviously work through that viewing list. So do pick up the phone. Don't let that put you off. But that is what you're looking for. You're looking for the pre-portal. So make sure you're following the pages, watch the full video to the end to get the price point, and then act fast if you do see something that ticks your boxes. Finally completed. So this is properties that have now gone through the conveyancing stage, missives are signed, and they are now obviously within the hands of the new owners. So the first one is Priestfield Maltings in Pitlessie. Now this particular property was a well-presented 2-bedroom spacious ground floor flat. This particular flat had a really private, I think it was like southeast facing garden, which was a fantastic addition to have. You got 2 allocated parking spaces, and you did also get partial countryside views. What was fantastic with this property is it was actually previously on with another agent. Then they moved over to ourselves. We used our marketing strategy and we secured them a buyer. The buyer's delighted because they are getting out of rented and moving into obviously a property within that village setting. It's Pitlessie. It's a stunning little village. Likewise, the seller is delighted because they now can obviously kind of draw a line under that, put it to bed, and they've finally got the property sold after moving agents. And that one sold for 117,000. Next one was McDonald Street in Methil. Now, this particular property was a really spacious 3-bedroom upper flat, but it was actually split over 2 levels, so it was like a maisonette. What was great with this property is it was so spacious. It was almost like the floor area or footprint of an actual home, like a house. You couldn't believe it when you walked in. It had a great big entrance hallway, exposed staircase. You had a really spacious living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, this cupboard that could actually be a study or a home office actually, and then you did go up the stairs and you had a further bedroom, but actually from 2 of the bedrooms you had stunning sea views right across the Firth of Forth, because you were obviously upper and then obviously into the attic space, you were right over the rooftops and you just had uninterrupted views, so it was incredible. So I'm not surprised that that one got snapped up. Now this one sold for 96,000, so 1,000 over home report. Buyer is delighted because this is their first home, so they're obviously starting their journey, first time buyer and getting on the property ladder, and it's a fantastic starting property. It's so spacious, not a thing that they need to do to it. Perhaps cosmetics if they want to put their own stamp on it, because it was a blank canvas, but the views were incredible. And because it was so spacious, it's somewhere that you can obviously grow into. So that was brilliant. Likewise, the sellers are delighted because it was actually landlords just obviously kind of simplifying their portfolio. Then finally, we had Methil Bray in Methil. Now, this one was an immaculate 2-bedroom upper apartment and recently renovated as well. So an absolute jackpot for the buyer because there's not a thing that they need to do to it. Extensive rear garden and off-street parking, which is fantastic to get when you're purchasing a flat, the upper one, but you still get to take advantage of garden space and parking as well. So again, this one sold for 1,000 over home report, so it went for 83,000. Again, it's a first-time buyer, so they're delighted to be on the property ladder and enjoying their new home. So we've had some brilliant results. Quite a lot of activity taking place, especially for what's coming soon, so do keep a lookout. But before I head off, let's discuss the shows that have taken place. So as always, you have a Monday where it is the Wealth Creation Show, which is with Richard Cook, the Lettings Director, and Jim Parker, one of the UK's most successful property investors. And every week they do a different topic. So yesterday, was financial leverage. And in most cases, financial leverage is the process of borrowing money, perhaps in the form of debt, to increase your potential reward from an investment opportunity. And that financial leverage is a key aspect of how modern financial markets operate, facilitating trading and funding for investments. So, are you perhaps an individual looking for leverage in your investments, like perhaps purchasing property or possibly using margin accounts in the stock market? Or perhaps you are a company looking at fund growth initiatives like expansions or acquisitions, aiming to generate more revenue than the cost of borrowing. If that does obviously sound like something that appeals to you, they did do that show live yesterday. You can go back and watch the rerun. And even though you are not watching it live, you can still put comments in the questions, or even if perhaps you've got some of your own stories that you want to share, they would love to hear them and then obviously give you their feedback and insights. So do go back and watch that one if obviously that is something that you were interested in. Then there was a show that Perry and I did, and it was whether to extend or move in 2025. And it's a step-by-step guide for Fife homeowners, because actually, in the last 5 years, the price of building materials and labour has climbed sharply, and quite a lot of us are fully aware of that. So actually making extensions costlier than many Fife homeowners believe. It all sounds great when you're starting out, but then actually when you start really kind of looking at your plans, getting all the costs together, and you've got your spreadsheet perhaps, it just mounts and mounts and mounts, and it ends up becoming a bottomless pit. And that's if you actually stick to the budget as well. So something that once seemed straightforward, actually perhaps moving can sometimes make more sense. And that is something that Perry and I discussed. So do go back and watch that show if you are kind of in that limbo stage just now where you aren't really too sure what to do. Likewise, if you do watch that show and you were in that predicament where you didn't know, do we sell? Do we extend? And whatever you did, tell us your case study as well. Give us that, because it's great for other people to see. Likewise, we can comment on it, but as well, people will be obviously keen to hear your stories, because people love that. They love really true, almost case studies, because that helps people make those informed decisions. And then finally, one for the landlords out there. You had, again, Richard Cook, the Lettings Director, and Karen Marshall, the Lettings Agent, and they were actually discussing tenancy deposits and the landlord protection and peace of mind that offers. Because of all the possible ways landlords can do and make mistakes, you wouldn't probably expect this one would be the top of the list, but it actually is. And that's what they're on hand discussing: the forgetfulness of it, the lack of the understanding of it, perhaps, and even anger can all blame to opening the door to then perhaps a whole host of problems. So that's a great one if you are a landlord, or even if you are starting out and you're considering it. You really need to get your ducks in a row, do all your homework. So likewise, if you have any questions on that, or again, if you're a landlord and you have a case study you want to share, go back and watch that. That is us for another market update. I will see you next week for another one. But in the meantime, all the best and take care.